Hello everyone, it is Dr. Christopher Groot here. I am getting in contact with you ahead of your feedback exam this week to talk a little bit about academic integrity and plagiarism. There have been a few posts on the discussion board that have asked about what our expectations are as regards citations and referencing in the feedback assessment. We don't really have any expectations about citations and referencing in the feedback assessment because we're thinking of this as a short answer exam. And in short answer exams, when you're sitting in the exam hall, we certainly don't expect you to be remembering the full citations and references of the articles that you might talk about. Having said that, if you would like to provide a citation and reference, that is absolutely fine. If you would like to provide that in APA 6th edition style, that's also absolutely fine, but you don't have to do that. All you need to do is make sure that you are submitting your own original work. You're not submitting copied work. So as long as you know that the work is your own that you're submitting in this feedback assessment, then you will be absolutely fine. The video you're about to see I recorded a couple of months ago for our summer semester students, but I think it will be useful for you here now for the feedback assessment and also for your main essay that you're writing for psychopathology. So, what is plagiarism? Basically, plagiarism is representing somebody else's creative work as your own. I've given an example here that is quite a famous one. This is where Vanilla Ice took part of the song Under Pressure from Queen and David Bowie and used it in one of his songs. He changed a single note in this tune and claimed that it was therefore original work. Not surprisingly, this did not hold up in court for Vanilla Ice, and it turned out to be a very expensive undertaking for him indeed. You can see at the bottom of the screen I've provided the link for a video that plays these songs side by side if you would like to see how this work was copied, and you will notice the similarity. More recently, Melania Trump has kindly given us a very obvious example of plagiarism, where she gave a speech which was largely lifted, directly copied essentially, from a speech that Michelle Obama had given previously. Let's have a look at a video of this speech and you will see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the second speech plagiarizing the original speech delivered by Michelle Obama.
I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them.
That you treat people with respect. They taught and showed me values and morals in their daily life. That is a lesson that I continue to pass along to our son. And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
So as you can see, the speech delivered by Melania Trump was almost exactly the same as the speech delivered by Michelle Obama previously. You can watch this video again if you like using the link at the bottom of the screen. So, why is it important to avoid plagiarism? Obviously, there are issues of honesty and integrity in terms of your academic work. When you acknowledge a source by providing an in-text citation and a reference at the end of your work, you're giving credit where it is due. You're giving credit to the original author and acknowledging their work. Practically for you, there are benefits to proper citation and referencing and writing with honesty and integrity. So firstly, when you provide a proper citation and reference, this will demonstrate that you understand where your work sits in the context of the broader literature. It demonstrates your understanding of what is out there already. And along those lines, it also demonstrates the importance of your topic. If people have been writing about it before and you're demonstrating that they have been writing about a topic before by providing proper citation and referencing, then you are demonstrating that this is an important topic. It's one that has received previous attention and you are carrying that forward. It, of course, provides the foundation for your original work that's to come in your paper, and providing a reference and a citation also defines your original work so that it can then be assessed. When we know what is not your original work and we know what is your original work, and that is defined by proper citation and referencing, then we can more thoroughly assess what you think about what has gone before. Of course, the other pro for you in terms of writing with honesty and integrity is that you avoid hefty penalties that come with a formal allegation of plagiarism. And the university treats this very seriously, and I will provide you with a link that you can follow to read more about the university's take on plagiarism. By this point, you will be getting a feeling of what plagiarism is. It involves copying. It involves using somebody else's work and passing it off as your own. Sometimes it's very intentional, and other times it's not intentional at all. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how you can avoid plagiarism, and it's really very effectively done by introducing just some very simple checks and balances into your workflow when you are writing an assignment or writing a lab report, for example. So plagiarism can involve either directly copying verbatim what went before, or by improperly paraphrasing what went before. Directly copying is easy to understand. So this is where words have been taken from an original text and submitted exactly as they were in the original text in your essay or in your lab report. Now, in my time, I've seen this manifest in terms of infractions that were as small as part of a sentence. I've also seen entire assignments that have been copied and submitted under the guise of being original work, and it can certainly be anything in between. Now, I mentioned that I provide a link to the university's academic honesty page where you can read more about the university's take on plagiarism, and you can see that at the bottom of the screen right now. So, as you already are aware, we use Turnitin as our assignment management system in the university. And this software identifies plagiarism, and it compares any assignments that are submitted with previous assignments that have been submitted at the university, and indeed previous assignments that have been submitted at any university in the world. Books, journals, the internet, etc. The database is extensive. Now, you will have already seen that Turnitin provides what's called an originality report, and it gives us a couple of things. It does give us what's called a similarity index. Now, this is a measurement of the proportion of an assignment that is the same as an original source elsewhere. And it also gives us this originality report, which shows us the pattern of similarity. Now, we place much more weight in assessing the pattern of similarity than we do in the similarity index. The similarity index can be a useful tool, but it's not always. We prefer to look at the pattern of highlighting throughout an assignment, and that tells us about the nature of the plagiarism that has occurred. In this example here, you can see there is some really flagrant copying going on. Entire paragraphs have been copied, basically with a couple of original words inserted, which of course is not acceptable. Here are some other examples of very extensive instances of copying. Now, incidentally, these are from previous Mind, Brain and Behavior 2 students who wrote a lab report on a different topic, and this was only a couple of years ago. Here is the similarity index. Now, you've probably already seen this. I've made the similarity index and the plagiarism reports available to you so that you can see them. So this is basically what your marker is looking at when they are assessing the originality of their work. Now, certainly if I saw something like 60%, 64% here as it is, flagging on the similarity index, then alarm bells are going to be going off for me. But so you know, the first thing that your markers always do when they open a page is first look at the similarity index and then immediately look at the pattern of highlighting throughout the paper so that they know exactly what they are dealing with in terms of original work or not original work. Another particular type of plagiarism that the university treats particularly seriously is that of collusion. And this is where a student submits, either totally or in part, the work of another current student or a previous student. This has implications for both the student that has submitted the plagiarized work and for the student that had the original work. Quite often, the student that submitted the original work has good intentions and maybe has shared their work with another student to help them maybe get an idea about how to write an assignment. However, this always ends up going badly. So it's easy to avoid. All you need to do is make sure that you don't share your work with other students. Simple, easy to avoid. Here is an example of a collusion case. Again, this is a real case from just a couple of years ago. This assignment was submitted to Turnitin, and as you can see, it was largely copied, just the odd original word here and there. It was copied from an assignment that had been submitted the previous year. And here's another one. Now here, this is interesting. You can see that the pattern of copying is more sporadic. it's not large paragraphs that have been copied this time, but we can see that the flow of concepts throughout the paragraph, and indeed specific phrases, has been copied from the original source. Now, even though there's more original work here, this is collusion. This is bad paraphrasing, I suppose, and also copying here as well. So I've just mentioned paraphrasing as somewhat of a segue into this next section of the video. So paraphrasing, and poor paraphrasing, is when it's deemed that another person's work has been paraphrased too closely. There's only been minor changes in the work. The essential meaning of the work, the form of the work, and the progression of the ideas in the work has been maintained. When this happens, that is a problem. When we paraphrase properly, we certainly maintain the original meaning that was presented by the previous authors, but we express that meaning in our own way. It is important to maintain the original meaning because this means that you are paraphrasing accurately, but you need to put forward that meaning in your own original way. That involves your own use of words and choices of words, your own manners of expression, and your unique way of developing ideas in your argument or in a paragraph that you're putting forward. All of that needs to be your own. People quite often worry about whether or not they're paraphrasing correctly. It's really easy to paraphrase correctly. The first thing you must do is read the original text and question yourself. Question yourself and make sure that you understand what the original text is saying. And if you understand what the original text is saying, then you can explain it to somebody. And you'll be able to explain it in your own words, in your own unique way. Importantly, when you do this, when you maintain that original meaning, but you express the ideas in your own way, you still need to acknowledge the original authors with a citation and a reference. This table is a really easy checklist of things to remember about paraphrasing. So, what should and what shouldn't change when you paraphrase? Firstly, the words should change. Make sure you're choosing your own words. The phrasing should change, so the sentence, the paragraph structure, that must all be your own. The sequence of ideas, how you progress the ideas in your paragraphs. Again, present these in the order that works best for you. And the style and flow, this is a good test. This is where you can read your work and ask yourself, does this work sound like me? Or does it sound like the original author? That's a good test. So all of those things need to change. The only thing that shouldn't change is the meaning. The original meaning, those core ideas, have to be accurately maintained. So, of course, we also avoid plagiarism by providing in-text citations and full references at the end of the assignments. The sorts of things that you should cite and reference are things like claims and results, conclusions and theories and hypotheses and so forth. Anything that you're drawing upon that has been put forward by somebody else. Now, I know you've already been looking at writing guides and style guides, and we do indeed use 6th edition APA style in writing for psychology. A citation is how you acknowledge the original author in text, right there in the middle of your writing. These are two examples that are common formats for citation. So if an author whose surname was Blogs in 2014 had written an article that showed that MBB2 students love learning about plagiarism, then you might cite it like this. There's two ways that you could do that there, and you can refer to your APA style guides for more on that. Now, a reference is a full description of the original resource that you drew upon, and you don't provide that in the text. You provide that at the end of your assignment, at the end of your lab report, for example, in a reference list. And again, you can refer to your writing guides and your style guides for how to construct the reference list, but here is an example of a fictional reference for the Blogs article, which we just showed example citations from in that previous slide. So as long as you've got a citation and a reference at the end, then you are definitely on the right track. Things you don't need to cite and reference are your own original ideas. So this is a comment that, or a question that comes up for me from time to time. People are wondering whether or not they need to cite themselves every time they write an original thought in their lab report. No, you don't. We are just assuming that everything that you don't cite is your own original thought. So you don't need to cite your own ideas. You don't need to cite common knowledge. So these are things that most people would generally accept as being facts, like the sky is blue or Melbourne is in Victoria. And this principle can be extended to common knowledge within a discipline. So for example, if you were writing a journal article in clinical psychology or psychiatry, you wouldn't need to provide a citation or reference for a statement that schizophrenia is a psychiatric disorder. That would be common knowledge in that subdiscipline of psychology. However, it can be difficult at your level of study to identify what is and what isn't common knowledge within a discipline or a subdiscipline of psychology. So if you're at all in doubt, just provide a citation and a reference, and you cannot go wrong. So I hope you found this introductory video on plagiarism and how to avoid it to be useful. Again, don't worry, we don't have strict requirements for you in this feedback assessment. Again, we are treating this as though it is an exam, and in an exam we certainly don't expect you to remember citations and references. However, just make sure that you're submitting your own original work and you'll be completely fine. So again, this early feedback assessment is intended to, in part, give you timely feedback on how you're going with the psychopathology subject, and also to give you an idea about what the final exam is going to be like in terms of its structure and its pressure and how to write a short answer. So I hope, and Abby along with me and the rest of the teaching team on psychopathology, we all hope that this is a useful exercise for you, and you get some valuable feedback out of this, and try to enjoy it. There's some really interesting questions there, and I hope you enjoy writing about them. Good luck.